Good morning, everyone. If you are catching on the replay, good morning. If you are just tuning in, hello, welcome. Change the camera angle again for you today just to kind of catch a little bit more of the space. I've even changed my outfit. Some people said that they couldn't quite distinguish me between the floor, so I picked the loudest shoes and shorts combination I could find. Nice to see everyone. Happy New Year to everyone that's tuning in. Good morning if you're tuning in on the East Coast. Very early good morning if you're tuning in on the West Coast. Today you're going to need a lacrosse ball or something small to roll with. Could even be a rolling pin if that works for you. Something to roll on the surface. Hello. Nice to see you guys. Going to get started in a second. Again, first session of the new year, so we all made it into 2021. Congratulations. So, yeah, we're good to get started. So let me just turn the comments off. Lovely to see you guys. And grab your lacrosse ball. Just put it down for a second. So today what we're going to focus on is a little bit of wrist mobility. I appreciate that some of you have gone back to work today, probably a little bit stiff in the hands. And shoulders, forearms, biceps, etc. Or if you just got yourself a new games console and you've already got a little bit of a repetitive strain injury in the thumbs or carpal tunnel in the arms or tightening the wrists, this could work well for you. So first thing we're going to do is let's position ourselves over a bench or a chair or even a desk, and we're just going to do our check-in. So we're just going to see how much tension we've got in our wrists and forearms. So just want to keep our shoulders back nice and straight. We're just doing a little bit of a rock just to assess how our wrist mobility is. And if you find that you get a little bit stuck, I myself have a little bit of opportunity there. Let's just hang out there for a second. Not too intense, but enough to give you kind of a 6 or a 7 out of 10 in terms of stretch. You can do this on a desk, you can do this on a chair, you can do this on a table, whatever works. But you can even do it on the floor. Again, keeping our shoulders back, nice flat back, just rock gently, just to find where your end range is, where you run out of room in that mobility, and see if there's any tension. This is going to form our check-in for later, just kind of seeing where we're at, and we're just going to shake that off. This is just to see kind of where you're at, actively and passively. And we're just going to start with a little bit of a wrist roll. You can isolate one. Just want to go back and forwards, clockwise, anti-clockwise, just to see where we're at. Just loosen up those wrists. You're going to open and close. What's that? On this hand. And let's do the same thing on the other side. So I'm just gripping the wrist just so that I'm not waving my fist, my arm in the air, just to isolate that area. There's no tension, I'm not squeezing or anything. And we're just gonna go forwards and backwards, and we're just gonna see open, close, extend, flex, just to kind of see what angles are open. Awesome. Let's just come back. Let's do another check-in. Let's see if that has helped gain any range at all. Gentle rocking. And just kind of see a little bit of an improvement. So we know for myself, it's just I need a little bit more movement in the joints, a little bit more synovial fluid, a little bit of that fluid movement. So next thing we're going to do is a little bit of an active stretch. Just going to get bending back just a little bit, and we're just going to then move into a little bit of an actual localized finger stretch. So what we're going to do is the same start position. So we're just putting a little bit of weight over our shoulder, so it's nice and stacked. Shoulder is over elbow, is over wrist. No bend in my elbow, it's nice and straight. I'm just putting a little bit of direct downward pressure. Now with my other hand, all I'm going to do is gently lift my little finger for a couple of seconds, and then I'm actively going to push that down into the bench. I'm pushing. Table, floor, whatever surface you're on, you can actively push that little finger down. Now we're going to try and lift it, lift, and now we're going to push it down. And that's just going to give us a little bit more proprioceptive feedback for the finger. It's going to give us a little bit more control. We're going to apply the same thing to the next finger. So our ring finger, we're gonna lift it up, and we're pushing down now, so pushing into that table, floor, bench, whatever you're pushing into, and now we're gonna try and lift it just a little bit. It's gonna really, really feed back up along that arm, really gonna feel it. Awesome. So next finger, middle finger, we're just gonna lift it up just a little bit of a stretch through the middle up into the arm here. Lift, 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 lift. Now we're gonna push down. Push, 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 push. And same thing, lifting that index finger. So we lift, 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 lift. Pushing down. That's it. Push, push, push. Now we're gonna lift our two fingers, so our middle finger and our index finger up. So you've got a little bit more challenging. And down you come. Last one's gonna be a thumb. This, you probably got a lot of range in anyway, it's probably all good, unless you had some kind of trauma, in which case, be careful. Same goes for your fingers. And let's see where we're at. So we're now pushing down, push, 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 push. And now let's push down with the whole hand. So push, squeeze that bench, try and grip it, and let's see if we can lift those fingers whilst keeping our palm on the bench. That's it. Let's keep our shoulders stacked. Make sure you do. And then we're just gonna put that hand down. So we're gonna change hands now, okay? The idea of this is we're just getting a little bit more mobility in this wrist. If it's too much tension for you, just back off just a little bit, and then we can always come back to it, okay? So, same thing, nice stacked shoulder, nice flat back, either on the floor, you can always kneel if that's better for you, on a chair, you can do it on a desk or a table. If you're following along at work, tell your boss that I said it's okay. So, this time we're gonna start on our little finger again. We're on the opposite side, so I appreciate you can't see, so let me just turn a little bit so you can, and this is probably a better view for you from the front actually. So, you're gonna lift that little finger, keeping that shoulder over the hand, and lift it, lift, 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 and now we're pushing down into the bench, pushing down the little finger. Gonna feel a little bit of an activation along that forearm, as you feel it work its way up. If it's a little bit nervy, just back off a little bit. And you're gonna wanna lift it, sorry, jumped ahead. Gonna try and lift that finger, really, really concentrate on trying to lift that finger. Lift, 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 lift. Really, really gonna have to think about that one. Now we're gonna lift that next finger up. Lift, 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 lift. And now we're pushing actively down into the bench. Push, 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 push. Excellent. And we're gonna try to lift that up. It's a little bit harder to lift that one up for me. And we're gonna do the middle finger. So we're lifting that middle finger up. Lift, 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 lift. And we're gonna push down into the bench so we keep that pressure over. Push, 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 push. And now we're actively trying to lift just a little bit. And now we're onto that ring, that index finger. So we're just working all through the hand. Just do what's applicable to you. If you find that one arm, one hand is a little bit more mobile than the other, you've got a little bit more range. If you are hypermobile, obviously this can be useful, just this last exercise of pushing down, getting some proprioception back in the joints, some feedback. That PNF just helps build that strength in the end range. So we're gonna lift up those fingers, that whole wrist is gonna stay on the bench, so the palm of your hand, so it's gonna stay on the bench. You're gonna lift those fingers, and then we're just gonna relax. Now, roll off your hands, so your wrists, just to get some blood flow back in it. We've been in a stretch for a little while. Don't wanna get it to be too nervy. And what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna move into a little bit of localized compression and stretching with the lacrosse ball. So you're going to want to grab your lacrosse ball. We're going to start, you can do this standing if you've got a high desk, you can do this kneeling, you can do it on the floor, whichever works for you. Just going to take off my, my watch so that I can do this a little bit more easily on this arm. So we're working from wrist to elbow on the meaty part of your wrist. So you want to find a position that's going to be about a 6 or 7 out of 10, and we can add a little bit of down pressure if we need to. So avoid this if you have any existing conditions, any carpal tunnel, etc., or at least modify it so that it's more comfortable. 6 or 7 out of 10. So pinning our wrist down, and you can either be over a little bit to add that 6 or 7 out of 10 in terms of compression, or you can just press down with the wrist. We're just going to lift our hand up initially and then bring it down. Probably bring it close to the edge actually. Down and up, so a little bit of flexion extension through the wrist just initially, just to kind of see where our initial stretch or compression needs to be in that wrist as we flex and extend. You might find that you have this optimal position as you kind of turn that wrist, find out where you need it. And if it doesn't need it, you can just follow for a minute and then we can skip ahead. So we're just flexion extension. We're just going to keep moving down the wrist. You can even add a little bit of a roll on if you want to. Just lift that hand up and down, move down a little bit, up and down and up and down, and then just shake it off again. We're going to flip over now, so we're actually going to do the other side. So a little bit less meat to work with, so you're going to actually have to rotate externally for this one and put a little bit of pressure, lean across. Downward pressure again on top. Find the position in this area that works best for you, okay? Because there'll be an optimal point of compression, tension, may even be a little bit nervy or uncomfortable, just a 6 or a 7 out of 10, okay? So no pain, just a little bit of a compression stretch awareness as we pin down and we bring our palm towards us and then we bring it away from us. And just remember to breathe, no red faces as we try and force the stretch. We're just letting our body do its thing with a little bit of compression. So just bring it towards us. We're gonna move down a little bit more. For me, I'm a little bit more stuck proximally to my elbow, so I will move up just a little bit. Excellent. Now, shake it off, up and down, flexion extension, a little bit of a wrist roll, and let's do the other side. Okay, so same thing applies. I'm going to turn my body so you can see me a little bit more towards the camera. We're going to pin an area of tissue that feels most stuck. So if you need to come more proximal or distal away from your elbow, feel free to do that, but let's just pin ourselves down with a little bit of a lean, and let's lift our wrist up and then bring it down. More towards the end of the bench, and we're going to lift up and down, and you should feel the tension kind of ease away if you do this correctly and you kind of work in the breath. And again, if you feel any pressure, too much nerviness, anything that feels like it shouldn't be there or doesn't feel right, just back off the pressure and then give it a couple of seconds and try again. Or if this, you have a pre-existing condition, just try and avoid it, okay? Try and avoid that stretch if it's not something that fits with your program, etc. So lifting up and down, I'm just slowly moving more proximal to my elbow as I work up the forearm here. And I can rotate inwards if I find there's a spot there, or I can rotate externally as well. So shake off your hand, get a little bit of flexion extension. We're gonna flip over now, palm facing up. Let's externally rotate our wrist just a little bit away from us, because obviously the meat on the forearm on this side is gonna be more on the inside of the arm. So we're gonna pin it down. We can even internally rotate, externally rotate if that works better for you to kind of floss out that tissue. And we're just gonna work our way to a point where we kind of feel a little bit stuck. And I am right there, I'm right towards the elbow on this one. So I'm gonna hang out there for just a little bit, and I'm gonna try and pull my wrist towards the floor. I'm gonna back off just a little bit of pressure, and then I'm gonna bring it towards me. Always trying to be dynamic with this, because we wanna make sure that we're flossing the tissue, or we're pinning and flossing shape as we move up and down, okay? So let's just shake that hand off, move our wrists a little bit. Okay, we'll do a check-in. This isn't the last exercise, but we're just gonna do a check-in, because it's always worth seeing if this is beneficial to you, right? So let's just see if we've gained any more range. I've gained a little bit of range there. I'd say actually quite a few degrees more than I had at the very start, and a little bit less pressure feeding up into the forearm. So just do a quick check-in, see how that feels. You can even go from side to side. We can go from back, front to back. Just see if that works for you, pushing down into the bench. Nice flat back, and yeah, feels great. So we're gonna rotate our wrists. We're gonna do a little bit of nerve glide as well now. So one thing I really like to do with clients is just pair this up with a little bit of a nerve glide where you get a little bit stuck. But before that, I like to do a little bit of preparatory work with stretching the biceps. So One thing we can do is a little bit of a bicep stretch. We've done the forearm. So let's move up into the bicep, which can get a little bit of tension because it will work its way up as it feeds along the fascial line. So we're going to work on this bicep. So first thing you want to do is turn your wrist away from you, like you're holding something behind you, and we're just going to move out at a slight angle away from us. Let me just turn this way so you can see. And we're just going to rotate as far as we can. And then imagine we're moving back as far as we can, pulling our shoulder down towards the floor and trying to externally rotate as far as we can. You should feel a little bit of a stretch there. Something like a weight can be useful as well, or an alternative can be to hold something like a T-Rex or a band, just to keep that arm in position as we move our body away into the stretch, keeping that arm nice and straight, pulling your shoulder down towards the floor, and you'll feel that stretch move into the bicep right there. So let's do the other side now. We're gonna internally rotate our arm as far as it can go. We're gonna pull our shoulder behind us, so a gentle set of the shoulder is nice. We're gonna start to lift our arm away from us as we traction down and away. And if you want to get a little bit more of a nerve kind of stretch in a little bit, you can move your head away too, which will often feel good. Awesome. So let's just shake that off. A little bit of a bicep stretch there. Probably felt that. A little bit of a wrist roll. Get a little bit of blood into the elbows, into the bicep. Okay, so let's move into our nerve glide. And one thing we like to do is, with this one, is just move dynamically. If you imagine that a nerve is a little bit more like a piece of string, and our muscles are a little bit more stretchy, these only have a limited run of space to move up and down. So we like to get them to move a little bit more freely. So just move dynamically, and if this feels too nervy for you, just back off for a second and then catch up, okay? So first thing we do is bring our palm towards us. We're gonna move our head away. Just gonna see where our range is, about there for me, where I start to feel that stretching or awareness of that nerviness. And I'm gonna bring my head towards my arm, and then as I come back, I lean my neck to the left, I'm gonna bring my hand up. You start to feel that awareness of that glide, of that nerve, of that medial nerve glide that we're doing right now as we lift up. Excellent. So we've done kind of 6 or 7, 8 pumps, let's say, on that side, and we've moved the nerve. Let's do it on the other side now. So with this one, same thing. Let's find the end range. So I'm a little bit further this way. I've got a few more degrees of range on this side. My arm is straight. I've rolled my shoulder back, so it's in a nice straight line. And I'm gonna lean my head to the left. This is why I bring my hand towards the floor. And then I do the other way as well. We're gonna do about 6 or 8 pumps. Again, about 7 or an 8 in terms of stretch awareness, or let's say stretch of the muscle, but awareness of that nerve gliding backwards and forwards. And hopefully for you, it feels a little less nervy as we move backwards and forwards. Awesome. So again, roll out the shoulders, roll out the wrists, pump the elbows, get it to slide backwards and forwards. We're getting some blood and some range of motion back into those shoulders, those elbows, those wrists, okay? So second thing, we're gonna do the same motion, but we're actually gonna turn our hand towards us, okay? So for a lot of people, because we've done a little bit of work with the bicep and forearms, this may not be, you may not feel as aware with this one, but all we're gonna do is same thing, but this time we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna lean our head away. So as we come this way, we're gonna lean our head away, just get a little bit further of a stretch, and we're gonna bring our hand up. We're gonna come down. This one, you actually may need to bring your arm slightly behind you, and then we're gonna come towards our hand a little bit more and away. And just let your head on this one. So what I should have said is leave your wrist where it is on this one, and just let your head do the work as we lean away, just trying to get a little bit more of a nerve glide on this one. Same thing on the other side. Let's just find a space away from the wall, and let's do the same thing. Just let our head do the work. You can just leave your wrist where it is, And imagine that you're bringing your arm slightly more behind you. Trying to open up that chest as well. You can even turn your head, and that will even add a little bit more of a stretch. Awesome, so that would have been our medial and ulnar nerve flossing, which works really well. You can do that really quickly in the morning. If you get any tension, any compression in the brachial complex, that can also be awesome just to kind of open up that shoulder, get the nerviness out the shoulders. So the last one we're going to do, a little bit of a, imagine if you're a darts player, this one for the radial nerve works really well. Something gets really stuck in a lot of people. All we're going to do is imagine that you are either throwing a dart or trying to put a monocle on or binoculars. We're going to bring our hand out, make an OK sign, bring our hand out, and imagine you're trying to bring that OK towards your head. And if you can even do it this way, that works well too, but we're just going to work on that right for now. We're just trying to floss that radial nerve. If you get any clicking on or popping your elbow, that sometimes also happens in this position. And you're just trying to get that wrist back so you get a little bit of a stretch here. Let's do the other side. We've done about 6 to 8 pumps on that side. So let's do the same thing. Arms nice and straight. We're moving from the elbow and we're moving back towards the head. And if you want to take this up a level, you can even lean your head away slightly as it comes towards. And again, just keeping that shoulder fixed, just moving from the elbow. And then we can even add a little bit of a shoulder stretch in. So now we've moved from the wrist, we moved it into the forearm, both sides, we come up into the bicep and into the shoulder to release those nerves and kind of towards that brachial complex. So what could we do now? Well, we could do a little bit of a PNF with that original position. That's just to kind of help increase the range or to cement it, and then we can finish off with a little bit of a neck stretch if we have time. So first thing we're going to do is just start with the hands away from us, and let's just rock back, see if that adds anything to the end range there. We're going to turn around, face the front again. We're going to see if we've gained anything dynamically this side. So shift your weight left to right, back to front. Pushing down into the bench, let's see where you're at, if you've gained any more range. And then the last thing we want to do is we're going to come back to that finger, like the finger stretch we did before, we're going to push our fingers into that bench for 5 seconds, okay? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to see if we can fall into a little bit more of a new range here, okay? As we lean forward, we do the same thing again. So we're going to push down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to come forward. You can hold it for longer, you can hold it to 10 seconds, but I like to keep it nice and short so we get a little bit more dynamic. And one more time, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, as you push down and then just fall into the new range. And then we're just going to rock back, ease out. We're just going to lift up, going to roll our wrists, excuse me, roll our wrists, and we're just going to ease and get some blood flow back into the wrists and some range again. Check in, see where you're at, see if that helps you, okay? So last thing we want to do, as I say, is just a little bit of a neck stretch. We can even combine it with our bicep stretch if you want to, but I'm just going to keep it very simple. We're just going to lean across, we can bring our arm behind us, we're going to point our nose down towards our armpits, you can give a little bit of a sniff. Hopefully you showered this morning. I know a lot of people are at home, so maybe not. And we're just going to have a little bit of a stretch through our neck, just to finish off. And imagine that you're just tractioning the back of your occipital as well, that bumpy bit just on the back of your head. Traction down towards the bottom corner. My arms just behind me so that I can keep my shoulder in a fairly neutral position. And then we're just going to change sides. So it's just a little bit of a finisher, just to make sure we're securing that shoulder position. A little bit of a stretch through as we kind of pull our shoulder down. And then we can just kind of shake that off. Hopefully that feels good for you guys. Hopefully that is really going to help you to ease that tension off of the wrists while you're working at home. So again, make sure that you always do your check-in. make sure that you establish what your original position is so that you can then refer back to it later and see if this is something that actually provides use for you in your dynamic warm-up, your stretching. Also, make sure you do it every so often so you can really, really improve that tension that builds up on the wrist. If we're at a desk all day using the mouse, often this gets really tonic, this position. So just keep moving the wrists, keep coming back, and if you have any questions, if you have any feedback, if there's anything that you'd love us to cover, please message me, message the team, leave some feedback on the videos, or you can message me as well at Fascial Stretch Simon. We'll be here again next week at 11:30, and if you have anything that you want us to cover, as I say, feel free to message us. We love to help you guys out. So nice to see you guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks very much.